Fantasy Pros MLB. I am Chris Welsh and so happy to have you back here, as today I'm going to be talking about the top rookies, prospects that you need to be drafting in 2025 that will help you in 2025. That's a key point. Prospects / rookies, they can have different definitions for Dynasty. We are going to be focusing on the rookie / prospects that you want to be targeting this coming season. If you guys have not already done so, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/FantasyProsMLB, and make sure you've also got the podcast in whatever favorite podcast app you have so you don't miss any of the shows, because we've got more content than we have ever had before, like this rookie stuff, which is pretty fantastic. Before we get into the names, because I got a bevy of them, I've got like 8 that I think are big targets, and then I've got 2 other little bit deeper names that we're going to dig into. So 10 in total rookies that you need to pay attention to. We got a great offering over on our other site, Betting Pros. You can unlock a full month of Betting Pros Premium for absolutely free by using the promo code FPFREE. Baseball might be done, but there's tons of football, basketball, and hockey to bet on. And frankly, you can start getting your chops set for the baseball season. Get access to tools like the same game parlay tool, the prop bet analyzer, which will be key for fantasy baseball this year and betting baseball, and the prize pick prop cheat sheet. Don't miss out. Try it for 1 month now. Available on iOS and Android using promo code FPFREE. All right, friends, you guys know, if you followed me at all, you know I love rookies, big major focus. So we've got 10 names in total. 8 are kind of the core guys. The other 2 guys have not had any major league time, but frankly, there are a couple names on this big core of 8 that haven't as well. So we'll just call it 10 rookies that you've got to be paying attention to and drafting for the 2025 season. All right, let's go to number 1. We are going, of course, to the New York Yankees outfield with Jasson Dominguez. Doesn't really matter if it's just for 2025 or if it's for long-term dynasty. Dominguez is still actually my number 1 prospect, though there are a few little question marks that are sitting out there, like if Juan Soto were to return to the team, that puts a little bit of a question into Jasson Dominguez. But regardless, he should still get playing time. Hopefully Verdugo wouldn't take that away from him. But let's focus on Dominguez. Dominguez is still prospect eligible after just 56 at-bats in 2024. His stats weren't big, but he still put up an above-average barrel percentage at 10.6%. He also had an over 45% hard hit rate, which is definitely a big key for his future potential power. His strikeout rate was too high in the majors. It was at 28%, but he did sport a 18% strikeout percentage at AAA in 2024. Early steamer projections have him at 141 games and putting up a 2020 season. Jasson Dominguez is still a high bet prospect to bet on, and especially when we're talking about the 2025 season, we're not doing rookie of the year conversations, but he is going to be at the tippy top of this conversation. He's worthwhile as a rookie. Maybe the prospect side of it's feeling a little bit, far gone. Jasson Dominguez is one of the best bets still, even if there's a little batting average dip, power, speed, and I think it'll click into this season. Jasson Dominguez is number 1. Let's go to number 2. I think he is like 1B to this conversation. He is my number 2 prospect, whether it's redraft or prospect. And I know if you talk about dynasty, some people feel a little bit different about the dynasty overalls. Frankly, you go to 10 different prospect people, there's probably 7 different names that are number 1 and even number 2. Maybe it's low-hanging fruit, but guys that I think really, really highly of, and also at the major league level. Number 2, we're going to Nationals' Dylan Cruz. Cruz, like Dominguez, is still prospect eligible going into the 2025 season. Between AA, AAA, and the majors last season, Cruz hit 16 homers and stole 37 bases. In a row? No, but 37 bases. Cruz hit just 212, but he had an XBA, an expected batting average, of 256. So there's some positive regression in that for this coming season. With a solid 44.7% hard hit percentage, that's great. He had an 89% zone contact percentage in AAA, and in the majors, 87%. Those are phenomenal numbers for a guy that puts up good hard hit and is consistently getting his bat on the ball. His strikeout rate of under 20% at the majors gives us a great baseline for his, future hit tool moving forward. He had a majority of his bats out of the leadoff spot, which is also relatively solid, at least for runs. He can, Gunnar Henderson hit out of the leadoff spot, hit 31 homers when he was batting first. Dylan Cruz can be fine, just RBIs might take a tiny bit of a dip. If that continues with his bat and stolen base potential, Cruz, he could push for a 20-30 season and like a high runs player in the coming year. We have Steamer projections, which have him at 17 homers and 24 stolen bases in just under 140 games played. Both of the guys, Jasson Dominguez and Dylan Cruz, cost a little bit more, but they really might be worth it. Coming up to number 3, we're going to go to a pitcher. We're not going to go to the one that's had any major league experience. Frankly, this guy hasn't pitched in the minors since 2022, but I just saw him a bunch in the Arizona Fall League. It is Phillies' Andrew Painter. He was able to join the Arizona Fall League, which I got to see 4 of his 6 starts in the AFL. Painter returned to his original form, which was so key. He was touching 99 on his fastball, throwing a strikeout-inducing slider as well as the AFL went on, which was huge, as well as a couple other great offerings that he has. He pitched just 15 innings, but won the AFL's Pitcher of the Year. He commanded, walking just 4 batters to striking out 18 in the AFL. He did this all despite giving up some hard hit contact. Painter looks the part of the #1 pitching prospect in all of the minor leagues. His problem will be pitching 15 total innings since 2022. And you might ask, why are we talking about the Arizona Fall League? It's that because he had not pitched and we had not seen data or really him for 2 years, which, by the way, in 2022, they were talking about him breaking camp with the team in the rotation. So now he goes to the Arizona Fall League and dominates. The Phillies are already talking about him joining the rotation again this season. So you can imagine he's probably capped at around 100 innings, which Steamer, by the way, has just at 100 innings. They've talked about potential low outing, like 3-4 innings to start the year. They'll have some load management, and maybe he can push it, though. Betting on pitching prospects in general is risky, but Painter's stuff is there, and he's the one I would bet on in drafts for redraft leagues. One of the best pitching prospects in baseball, number 4, Detroit Tigers, Jackson Jobe. Jobe struck out 96 in 91 and 2/3 of an inning with a 2.36 ERA in the minors this past year. He had a small cup of coffee in the majors, which I mentioned. He had 2 appearances where he struck out 2, giving up no hits in 4 innings. He touched 97 miles per hour, but he usually sits around 94, 95 with his fastball, but he has a 4-pitch mix offering. Fangraphs Stuff Plus system rated all 4 of his pitches 120 or higher Stuff Plus. Mind you, 100 is league average. So 120 plus is huge for all of his offerings. If Jobe starts generating more swings on his stuff, which could happen with major league catchers helping him be less predictable, he could have a big rookie year. Steamer projects over 140 innings pitched with pretty mediocre stats. I'd say he can beat those expectations. He ranks this high due to him going right into the rotation. If this were an overall dynasty without proximity, he might be outside the top 9 or 10 overall prospect, but because we're looking at 2025, he is a solid bet. Let's go to number 5. This is the second edition of a player that has not had any major league time. We are going to Cubs, second baseman, third baseman, however you want to look at it, Matt Shaw. Shaw is on a rocket ship of prospect value right now going into the 2025 season. He finished the year hitting 284, 21 homers, 31 stolen bases. Great. Shaw struck out less than 20% of the time at both AA and AAA. Once the year finished, he went off to play with Team USA for the Premier 12 tournament. He destroyed that league, making the all-world team and leading in most offensive categories. Shaw keeps his hands inside and explodes on the baseball, showing off not just contact ability, but like real power projection. He's currently blocked in Chicago, but trade rumors could open up an everyday spot for him to break camp with the team. Steamer projections don't see him with a ton of at-bats right now, but if you push the numbers that are out there to around 150 games played, Shaw would be putting up almost a 25 homer, 25 stolen base season. He's an early Rookie of the Year top candidate for 2025. With number 6, we are going to go to my team and a guy that has seen some major league time, but it hasn't been really good. We're going to go with Jordan Lawlar. It was a rough 2024. He missed a majority of the first part of the year with a torn ligament in his thumb. He then followed that up by a lingering hamstring injury. It was like nearly a lost year. He was having, though, a really hot spring training, to which he was able to add a 367 batting average with 2 home runs in 12 AAA games, before that missed time. So due to the missed time, he decided to go play in the Dominican Winter League, where he has hit extremely well and started showing off some above average power potential. He is a real power speed combo threat. In 2023, he hit 20 homers and stole 40 bases in the minors. Consistency, that's the problem. As he still has a strikeout problem, he's going to have to clean up. The other is just staying healthy. The Diamondbacks love Geraldo Perdomo. They've got Ketel Marte at second base, so that blocks a few things. There could be an opening in center field where there's one scenario where they could maybe put Ketel Marte back in center field. I think that's less likely. But there's another where maybe the Diamondbacks look at Jordan Lawlar like Jackson Merrill, and they end up giving him a shot in the outfield. If this happens and it's announced early, he could rocket up boards, and he is ready to put up some big offensive stats. Number 7, we're going to the Baltimore Orioles, and we're going to third baseman Coby Mayo. Mayo had a solid 2024 minor league season where he hit 296 with 25 homers and just over 350 at-bats. He had a small stint in the majors that did not go well. He had 4 hits in 17 games with an over 40% strikeout percentage. By the way, also a 24% hard hit rate. That really wasn't him. There was almost nothing to take out of the major league stint, to be honest with you. His confidence must have been shot as he struggled in those last few minor league stints of the year as well. He's shown to be an over-average power hitter, consistently putting up like 110 exit velocities in AAA, as well as like really solid barreling numbers. His strikeouts, they're just like a problem, not just counting the major league numbers. He struck out around 25% of the time in AAA. The Orioles, they've done a really good job working with their minor leaguers once they get to the majors. We know Jackson Holliday struggled, bounced back a little bit. Colton Cowser was a Rookie of the Year candidate. Mayo's only projected on Steamer for around 30 games, but over a 150-game span, he would project 25 homers. And I would tell you, Steamer's usually relatively pessimistic. He's also involved in some trade rumors, so it might be with another team, but he's a good power bet for 2025. Number 8, we're going to a pitcher I really didn't think we would talk about. It's Kumar Rocker of the Texas Rangers. Kumar Rocker's early career, it's looked like a roller coaster. The ups of being drafted, the downs of getting hurt, and he misses a full year. Further downs of horrible production, and then a rocket ship with his 2024 production. He struck out 55 with a 1.96 ERA in 10 minor league starts. Then in the majors, over 3 starts, he carried over his great minor league season with a 3.86 ERA. He had an expected ERA that was 3.17 and a 25% strikeout percentage. The keys to his bounce back, he was able to throw his fastball with velocity for strikes, something that he hasn't been able to do before. The second, most likely is kind of set up by his fastball working again, was the dominance of his slider. It has a deep plane that ended up with a 50% whiff rate in the majors. This will be the reason why he could put up big strikeout numbers. He's expected to join the rotation in 2025. Steamer's got him around 135 innings and over 9 K per 9 and a 3.80 ERA. Most prospect people kind of wrestle with his long-term value, but with what we're seeing right now, he's a great bet in the prospect world for at least this coming season. Now, the final 2 are 2 players that I think have a little bit further of a path to get there. There's immense talent, and they have not seen the majors. So these are the 2 deeper options here. Though this top guy I'm going to tell you is one of the top prospects in baseball for most prospect dynasty rankers, and is actually being drafted in NFBC drafts pretty high. So number 9 on our rookies to draft in 2025 is Boston Red Sox Roman Anthony. It is hard to find a prospect who had more helium in 2024 than Anthony. He played at Double and AAA at just 20 years old. He finished with 18 homers, 24 stolen bases, and a 291 average. A majority of his power came at Double-A though, but once he moved up to AAA, he was hitting over 340, also cutting his strikeout rate to under 20%. He's showing off great ability to make contact. Supporting this, he had an over 86% zone contact percentage while also getting on base. He had a 400 OBP in 2023 and had just under 400 this past year. He posted a 108 90th percentile exit velocity at AAA, which really shows his incredible ability to tap into power while also barreling the ball. I think there are some questions, maybe long-term, about like what the homers and stolen bases could be at the majors, where there's a little bit of decline at AAA, but that's a short-lived idea and tracks more for this year. Long-term, the sky's the limit for him in general. If we hear the Red Sox are going to let him compete out of camp, or he's traded to a destination where he starts right away, he will absolutely rocket up this list. And I would even argue probably would be top 3 or 4 on this list overall. Final up here, and there are other names that are pretty exciting, but number 10 is another outfielder going with the Cleveland Guardians. We're going with Chase DeLauter. Now, DeLauter has still not made the majors, and he was frankly on this list last year, but injuries have destroyed DeLauter. He just has to stay healthy. He hit 8 home runs in just under 40 games during the minor league season. He finished out the year back in the Arizona Fall League where he played limited games, but he still hit .340 with double the walks than strikeouts. He's got this short follow-through swing that reminds me of similar to Mike Trout with just pure raw plus power. He also has a low strikeout rate because he does not chase. He swings at pitches in his zone and he makes solid contact. If he stays healthy, he could possibly break camp with the team, and worst case, we could probably see him midway, early-ish through the year, and I really do think he can be an offensive force when he is up. Are there more names that we could be talking about? Yes. There are a few names that I kind of took off this list that I wanted to go with more, but these are most likely going to be the top 10 that I'm going to put hyper focus on in early drafts. We'll get more information soon, but go and put a little watch list, a little pin in all of these guys. Maybe do a little research as well. These would be the rookies that I would be looking for in drafts for 2025. Again, I told you, make sure you check out the podcast and the YouTube, or you're at least subscribed, youtube.com/FantasyPros MLB. We got tons of draft content already happening on the MLB side on the podcast as well. So wherever you listen to podcasts, just go and search Fantasy Pros MLB. Make sure you're subscribed here for more. You can follow me at @IsItTheWelsh as I have all my baseball and prospect musings across the board. And just make sure you're tuned in because we are hot and ready for the MLB season, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and we will talk to you next time right here on Fantasy Pros MLB.